Welcome to Season 6, Episode 12. We're Episode 12 of Season 6. Reverse myself there. Little gap for y'all. The Good Vibes Show by me, Jerry Holy, of course. So I hope you all have been keeping up with Season 6 thus far. And with the immersive views I've done in the video recordings, obviously, and in the audio, you won't notice it. But this is the first time I did it. This is still an immersed view. But I'm just a little bit pretty larger in the image. So you still see the Good Vibes logo and the Special Chronicles logo, because Good Vibes is part of the Special Chronicles network. So first, before we jump into today's appreciation, support vibes, and positive uplifting vibes, first let's have a sponsor ad from our sponsor, the Good Vibes, the Special Chronicles network. A little anxious here, guys, so pardon that for a second. So the Good Vibes Show is proud to be featured on the Special Chronicles network. Visit specialchronicles.com for links to follow on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Be sure to also subscribe to the newsletter and find the podcast page for this podcast, The Good Vibes Show by Jerry Holy. If you love The Good Vibes Show, then you love the other podcast on the Special Chronicles Network. SpecialChronicles.com for links to subscribe to our podcast, newsletter, and to follow us on social media. And to support the podcast on Special Chronicles so we can continue our mission of giving respect, voice, and people with special needs. Visit SpecialChronicles.com/give to make a gift today. So, for today's appreciation support vibes, I know some of my viewers may find this one to be very opinionated, I guess, in this one. And so, I know may get bashed for this on and off probably for this one. But I'm going to say officials. Now, this is referring to officials in sports and everything. But every type of, like, sporting officials and that. Like, the officials for, like, all sports that require, that very much need officials. So obviously I know some folks may say like, oh, some very negative stuff about officials or anything, but you have to think about it, be in their shoes for once. Like, they have to make difficult calls too, you know. They're human beings just like you and I, obviously. So I'm going to say this right now. Sporting officials deserve a lot of appreciation and support, even though if they may get the call wrong and you may disagree with it, especially if you're the opposing fan or such. But I think you have to think about it for a second. Sometimes it's hard for them to catch everything. And obviously, I know it's kind of hard. I know quite a few people can blame the officials on quite a few things. But you have to think about this for a second. They're seeing it in real time. They're not seeing it in slow-mo time. If they cannot see it in replay time, then he can't make the correct call. So here's the problem. They're only seeing it in real time. And that's just human nature there. That they're only seeing in real time and they have to make the call right there on the spot. When in reality, it's much harder for if they were to replay, then they'll get it right, of course. So yeah. So yes, you can understand them being frustrated and such for that. But I think you have to understand that they're just human beings like you and I. And it's their job. And, you know, they take a lot of negative rep and everything. I think in real life, they're great people. And some officials are actually well respected in some other leagues. Like, there's one in the NHL who's very dramatic doing penalty calls or such, and everyone loves him and such. But like, there's some people who find officials to be annoying, and I kind of like, okay, I'm in the middle of it, but there's like the officials who need to be. Officials have to do their best job, and they're always educated in everything, and they have to make the call as they see it. And it's very hard, guys, and can come some slack for goodness sake, because you can't say all refs are bad. Or all of them are out to get you. Like, that's the person's opinion on it. To me, is they're doing their job, and it's hard to do their job and call it right no matter what. So the problem is in real life, they have so much to interpret it in the rules. It's so hard for them to do. So just come slack, folks. So before we go into our positive uplifting vibes, I mean, cut them some slack, the officials. But first, we're going to our Special Chronicles Network sponsor ad before we go into our positive uplifting vibes. So, the Good Vibes Show is proud to be featured on the Special Chronicles Network. Visit SpecialChronicles.com for links to follow on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Be sure to also subscribe to the newsletter and find the podcast page for this podcast, The Good Vibes Show by Jerry Holy. If you love The Good Vibes Show, then you'll love the other podcast on the Special Chronicles Network. SpecialChronicles.com for links to subscribe to our podcast, newsletter, and to follow us on social media. And to support the podcast on Special Chronicles so we continue our mission of giving respect and voice to people with special needs, visit SpecialChronicles.com/give to make a gift today. Now, obviously I chose the officials for this, but it's actually going to is today's positive update is pretty much be optimistic, be creative, like be hopeful. I think choosing the word optimistic, creative, and hopeful in this case is like goes along with the sporting officials, obviously. But if you think about it for a second, all three of those combined are important things to have, especially since right now the current situation in life for everyone around the world, the COVID 19 pandemic, is still going on and such. And I know things are going to get more and more. Things may, well, obviously get better, and they first have to get worse sometimes. But obviously, I know that's a negative, as I just said. But in reality, things start positive and everything and such. So it's always important to know that one, that things are. You always have to remember to be optimistic. That things will always become better and such. And life is always going to be full. You always have to be hopeful in life. And the most important thing to deal with in life, obviously, as well, is you have to be creative. And I think all three of them combined are important things to remember and such. And I think we just have to look in life that way. So I'm optimistic things will get better. I know they will. I'm also hopeful for things to always improve and significantly improve as well. And in the meantime, being creative is like obviously doing this show for you folks. And obviously having a cat randomly who just jumped, like cat figure just randomly jumped in frame for a bit to say hi to you. You might have saw a black tail smacking me if you're watching the video. Audio, you won't see it. But be creative. That's a sense of creativity there. But also doing this podcast for you folks. And I think just some people have to realize we have to step out of our box to be very optimistic, very hopeful, and be very creative. And honestly, creativity, optimism, creativity, and hopefulness all go together and make things great. And I think some may disagree. Oh, no, they don't. No, they don't. No, they don't. Like, okay, that's just having a negative mindset. The reality is, you need a positive mindset for all this stuff to work. And the reality is, sometimes I have a negative mindset, but the reality is, we all need a positive mindset to get through things. And I think being optimistic, being creative, and being hopeful will help you go a long way. And that's how we can bring positive for these tough times. So before we wrap up, here's again our sponsor, Zed, from the Special Chronicles Network. So the Good Vibes Show is proud to be featured on the Special Chronicles Network. Visit specialchronicles.com for links to follow on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Be sure to also subscribe to the newsletter and find the podcast page for this podcast, The Good Vibes Show by Jerry Hoy. If you love The Good Vibes Show, then you'll love the other podcast on Special Chronicles Network. On the Special Chronicles Network. SpecialChronicles.com for links to subscribe to our podcast, newsletter, and to follow us on social media. And to support the podcast on Special Chronicles so we continue our mission of giving respect and voice to people with special needs, visit SpecialChronicles.com/give to make a gift today. So obviously, folks, this has been a great episode for y'all. I know y'all enjoy it. I know some of you are like, gonna be like, why was there a cat in the video? Like, well, one, the cat was being very optimistic and very creative, so that's big error for you. This was very hopefully get some attention for you, and he will get some attention momentarily. So I hope you all enjoy this episode. And before we go, please remember to follow the Good Vibes Show on Instagram at Good Vibes by JH. Facebook.com/Good Vibes by JH. Also subscribe to the Good Vibes Show by Jerry Hoy on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from. And by the way, I'm on, besides those two platforms, I'm on 5 hours as well. So you just have to look them up, obviously. So I hope to all see you for episode 13 next week, folks. And we're slowly coming to the end of season 6, folks. And season 7 is going to be around the corner. I'm planning to do the season 6 recap and the season 7 recap probably post USA games for myself. So I can look at both of them in a different perspective. Because one, I want to give myself a little bit of time to think on it. So I'm just giving you a little heads up on that. So until next time, peace out. Boop, blah, and have a great rest of your time, everyone. I hope you enjoy your weekend, folks. And tune in next week for another episode of Good Vibes, episode 13. Till then, bye, everyone.